Welcome to HPC News Bytes, a weekly show about important news in the world of supercomputing, AI, and other advanced technologies.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to HPC News Bytes. This is Doug Black. Hi, Shaheen. We'll start with a story from McKinsey. They've published a report about the rise of domain-specific architectures, GPUs being the most prominent, at the expense of CPUs. There are interesting nuggets here. For example, we all know Moore's Law has slowed down, but McKinsey actually quantifies it. They're saying we're behind where Moore's Law would have predicted by a factor of 10. They also said DSA vendors having access to chip fabs like TSMC is a big factor because those fabs can aggregate demand and achieve efficiencies of scale.
Very nice. Listeners of this podcast, however, are familiar with this trend. This is driven by post-Moore's Law, sensor to supercomputer, edge to cloud, and AI to fuel it all, resulting in customization or domain-specific architecture, DSA, as they put it. So I'd like to think that this shows the growing acceptance of the trend and its inclusion in purchase decisions and setting strategy. Really a big deal.
Yeah.
Our next item is Intel submitting plans for massive expansion of its facilities in Oregon. They didn't do any financial details, but last time they did something like this, it was over $3 billion and 1 million square feet of additional footprint. Now, that's a lot, except that Oregon is the largest Intel site in the world, and Intel also happens to be the largest private employer in Oregon, which has been called the Silicon Forest. Oregon, of course, traces its technical strengths back to 1946 when Tektronix, the famed test and measurement company, was founded.
These fab bets are just enormous. Certainly, Pat Gelsinger is putting his tenure on the line here. He was named the Intel CEO only 2.5 years ago. Though some of these wagers really are supplemented by the Chips and Science Act, as well as the Oregon legislature, which gave Intel $500 million in tax incentives for these latest fab projects. Now, next up is another advance for optical and photonic technologies. PCI SIG announced a work group to deliver PCIe technology over optical connections. They intend to be optical technology agnostic, as they said, and their goals, naturally, are to achieve higher performance at lower power consumption.
Yeah, very nice. Photons are coming to complement electrons and protons. And another signal that PCIe plus CXL is just going to keep growing as an interconnect that sits between chip-level interconnects and Ethernet.
Excellent. Our final story is news out of the quantum sector. Oak Ridge Lab announced that researchers there used a Quantinuum quantum computer not only to demonstrate best practices for scientific computing on current quantum systems, but also they produced what the lab said is an intriguing scientific result. We don't really have the time or space here to explain the science, but a very interesting story.
Yeah, suffice to say that it's a molecule made out of 4 hydrogen atoms in a linear way. So I call these advances quantum computing hat tricks because they've managed to formulate a problem that is real enough to be useful, needs very small data sets, and has a lot of computation that a quantum computer can do. So it's really interesting when researchers find ways to get useful work done on current computer systems that are noisy, i.e. not fault tolerant, and with too few qubits, i.e. less than 1,000, to achieve supremacy. So that's it for this episode. Thank you all for being here. Until next time, take care.
HPC News Bytes is a production of Orion X in association with Inside HPC. Shaheen Khan and Doug Black host the show. Every episode is featured on InsideHPC.com and posted on OrionX.net. Thank you for listening.